Hello and welcome to a very special All Four Wins football. It is the first time that we have had the opportunity to do what we are calling the Team Talk, the chance to talk with people from across the world of women's football. And our very first guest we are honoured to bring in is Mollie Holmes, who is the captain of the Brentford women's team. So please introduce yourself and outline your journey into football and your career to date.
Cool. So yeah, hi, I'm Mollie. I am the current Brentford women's first team captain. I'm a centre mid, so that's always to give some good context and kind of where I'm running up and down on the pitch. I don't score too many goals as a full disclosure right now. That doesn't tend to happen. So I've been at Brentford 9 years now. Kind of did like a full circle. So I was there at Brentford when I was like 6 years old, like super young. Went on my journey, played for Middlesex, QPR. Throughout kind of from 11 to 16, and then when it got to 17 it kind of arose that I could come back to Brentford, and I thought in kind of where I wanted to play football, and I knew it was kind of a nice comfort environment, so I went back there and I haven't looked back. The club has grown, and the support we get from the men's team is unreal, and 9 years later I'm still here.
It's quite a thing, and that's what we like to hear. And now it's been quite a journey for you at Brentford. My understanding goes that you recently won the Capital Cup. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Tell us a bit about what the day was like, what the moment was like. I mean, surely you never get tired of winning a trophy in football.
Oh yeah, definitely not. The winning is what we're all here for. The cup game was great. We'd had a little bit of a disappointment with the league, so confirming that we couldn't get promoted, we were going to be second. So it was quite nice to have that kind of cup to look forward to and kind of go, do you know what, we're going to kind of finish that season on a high and let's go and get those cup wins. So the whole day itself it's always typical. You're kind of in your mindset, right? Warm up, kind of arrive, warm up, get ready for the game. And luckily, we played quite well, started quite quick, so managed to get a few goals early, which you can always rely on Logie to do that for us. And then I think, we did really well to kind of manage the game. And once the game's done, we won, which was just the best kind of feeling just to celebrate it. I think that's the beauty of football is it's because it's a team sport. You don't get those kind of wins just on your own. It's with the team, but it's not just those 11 that might be on the pitch, those 16 in the squad. It's all of the staff. It's the entirety of the team, whether they're playing or not. It was a really nice thing to just experience that win together. It was great.
Excellent. Talking of cup finals, you've got another one coming up. They're like buses, aren't they? One comes along, and then before you know it, so there's another one straight afterwards. And you're going to be playing this one against Whiteleaf at Meadowbank this Sunday, I believe. Are you confident you can add more silverware? How's that looking in the run up to the game?
Yeah, of course. We're always confident. I think you've got to go into a game believing you can win it. That's our aim. It's kind of a nice. It's our last game of the season, so it's nice to go into that. It'll be, finish on that high, get that win. We know Whiteleaf. We play in our league. They're not just going to roll over. They're going to be a tough opponent. They're going to try and win it as well. So we know it's going to be a tough game. We're going to be ready for it, and we're aiming, get that win, finish on a high, and then we've got 2 cups in the bank.
Always love double. Always love a double. That's what I always have at McDonald's. Would always be the double. Single. It's not worth it. Your second, you just alluded to that in the league, and you've got a game in hand. It means you are incredibly likely to finish second, and you'll just be a point behind Sport London East Benfica. Now, can you talk me a little bit through the season, how that's managed to go, and your perspective on how you've spoken about the cup, but the league season as a whole, how that has managed to go for you?
Yeah, of course. League we started a little bit slow. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a pattern. Yeah, we started a little bit slow, kind of left ourselves kind of a lot to do. Once it got to, I'm thinking maybe October, we really started kind of kick-started. I don't even remember the last time. I don't think we've lost since. Well, we're undefeated in 2024 still, so that's a cool little stat that we're going with, and we're looking to cling on for that as long as possible. So since then, kind of the first couple of games, like I say, were a little bit ropey, but then we've just kind of flew, and we've kind of each game just taking each week as it comes, getting the points on. Unfortunately, we fell a little bit short, but I think the whole way we've kind of performed this season has been really encouraging and just really great for the outlook on next season, really.
That's nice, little invincible 2024. You've got to enjoy a bit of that as well. You alluded slightly to the conversation you had with the league. Is it a frustration for you that there is only one spot going up into the next league? Because there's been a lot of talk about that in the women's game now, about how we're going to restructure the leagues, especially as you move further down the pyramid. What would you like to see change? And again, with the playoffs as well, there's one spot. The league essentially comes down to just that one game. What would your thoughts be on the promotion and relegation at the level you're at?
Yeah, it's a shame. In terms of the leagues, only one going up seems a little bit criminal, especially as we seem to be that little bit close, just that tiny percent off it, which is a shame. But I think it's kind of one of those, they have adapted it slightly. The women's game is growing, and it's growing at such a rate that I think the leagues being reviewed is having to be reviewed more regularly, because the fact is the teams are growing and that leagues are going to have to get bigger because there's the need for it and the want for it and the ability in terms of the quality of the teams. So yeah, selfishly, I'm like, why can't two go up, or at least give us a playoff game, give us a little bit of a fighting chance. So on a selfish perspective, I'd really like it to be that there are the two that go up, of course. But I think the fact that it's being reviewed and stuff like that is always important, because the game is always changing and it's just getting more and more popular, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, about the WNL and the fact that the Northern Premier and the Southern Premier used to have to play off in order to make it into the Championship. Do you think that maybe that's more of a situation that we're in now, where you can have your automatic promotion slot, but the playoff could be between the teams that finish second in opposing leagues, that sort of thing? Would that be another way of doing it, or
Yeah,
I think it's something that's from people that are far more better paid than us?
Exactly. They're going to know way more about it than me, but I think it's definitely an option. I think it all then therefore kind of depends on how you're staging the leagues higher up in terms of how many are going down and the split of that. So it's kind of the logistics that they're going to work out, but I think it's definitely an option, and then therefore at least it would leave availability for, at least there to be an extra an extra team to go up, as opposed to just the top ones, which we keep missing out on just by that fraction.
It's fine margins, always has been in football,
Yeah.
which is a shame. We've spoken a lot about your team in general. Let's drill down into a few nuts and bolts, because one of the keys to your success this season has been Chloe Logie, who has had just an unbelievable goal scoring season with just the 51 goals this season in all competitions. What is it like to be on a team with her? What's she like in training?
She is. Logie is just honestly like the best person. She's so, like, I love joking with her, taking the mick out of her. That's my constant just award that I enjoy. But she's not too loud. She's not that. She doesn't go around like she scores 51 goals a season. She definitely doesn't like that. She's very understated. And in training, she might be a little bit quiet, and then all of a sudden, touch bang, it's in the top bins, and you're going, how did she go and do that? Same in a game, that you're always in the game, regardless of kind of the score, however many they want to chuck in front of the goal to stand in front of there. When you've got Logie, you've got a chance of scoring. And, if you give her the ball in a good position, you've got a good chance of going in the back of the net.
Sounds like the sort of play you want up front for sure.
100%.
We could not go a whole interview without addressing your match at the GTEC Community Stadium. You went out there in a huge game, 6-1 win against Ashmount Lee, with goals from Kirsty Matthews, Maddie Phillips, Chloe Logie getting two, Nikki Woods, Ellen Wardlaw. Now, 4,856 people were watching that game. I don't think I've ever been in front of 4,856 people, so that must be quite a thing to go out there and play your football in front of a crowd that big. What was that like?
Yeah, kind of like before the game, it's amazing. You're super excited. It's completely different we get some lovely crowds down at Bedford, don't get me wrong, but we're not quite getting the 4,800 that you just said. So yeah, the day itself, but when you play, obviously it's a little bit more nerve-wracking, because if you make a mistake, 4,800 people have just watched you do that. But equally, when your team needs that little bit of an extra push, when you're maybe a little bit against it, having that crowd is just amazing. The girls probably loved it because they couldn't hear me shout at them because the crowd was so loud. So they probably loved it. But yeah, believe it or not, we won 6-1. But our manager, Carly, wasn't really happy at half time when we were 3-0 up, and we were like, what's happened? But that's just kind of the standards that we adhere to, that although we're 3-0 up, if we're not playing to the best of our ability, he's going to tell us.
That is quite something to walk out with that sort of a lead. And yeah, but that's good. Like you say, it's a good standards. And talking about 6-1 and the win, talk to us about Maddie Phillips' goal. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go and find it. Go and watch it. It is an absolute blinder. Was it a moment where you were stood there as captain thinking, what on earth are you doing trying to shoot from there? Or did you instantly think, this is what she can do? I know she can deliver from there. This could go top bins.
I think if I'm taking that shot, everyone is saying, what are you doing? With Maddie Phillips, that I do not think that. And she, in our last cup final, she literally scored a mirror image goal, probably controversially even better than the G-Tech one. So it's by no means is it a fluke. She's got a hell of a strike, and when she lines one up in training, a lot of people move out the way. But yeah, Maddie's got that. She's got that great ability in terms of she can link up with Kirsty and bomb on and go really quick and get those crosses. But you have that something different, that if you're going to give her time and space, anywhere kind of past 10 yards past the halfway line up into the box, she's going to have a shot. And to be honest, with the power on her strikes, it's going in.
Absolutely awesome. Again, talking about the G-Tech, how important do you feel it is as a player and as a team? And how valued do you feel that Brentford have committed to giving you at least one game at the G-Tech each season?
Yeah, it's one of those that we feel as a team, and myself personally, incredibly supported by the club. I think the beauty of me being here so long is I've seen the growth of and the kind of support and the additional support that we now get from the men's team, which is amazing. And of course, to play at the G-Tech is amazing. And it's amazing that they support us in that, but they support us in so many different ways in terms of the facilities that we train at, the kit we're provided. For example, when we won the cup, we got to go around at half time, kind of walking around the stadium just to be acknowledged by the fans, and the amount of fans that stayed and clapped just to show, do you know what? Yeah, we're here for the men, but we're not just Brentford men. We're supportive of Brentford as an entirety, whether that's the under 18s, that's the B team, that's the women's team. So yeah, the support we get from the club is great, and the fact that we get to play at the G-Tech is amazing. And the team we played, actually, it was quite nice at the end. They just said genuinely thank you so much, because they got to live out a little bit of their dream playing in a Premier League stadium and stuff like that. So it just shows the impact of doing something like that.
Absolutely. And is there anything more that you would like to see? That doesn't necessarily have to be just around your club, but just as you look out at the wider world of women's football. I mean, for example, do you think more teams should be committing to allowing their women's team to play at the men's stadium at least once a year, that sort of thing? Or is there anything else that you think as a player would be the next big thing that needs to be the hurdle that's crossed for the women's game to grow further?
Yeah, of course. So I think everyone knows, especially since probably the Lionesses, women's football has just continued to rise, and you see kind of with the WSL, the kind of the viewers they're getting, like selling out Emirates, Stamford Bridge in the Champions League. Those are the things that I think we need to start still trying to develop, but not just at that WSL level, but lower. Because that just filters all the way back up. So I think just having the support from the men's team, if they've got one affiliated to them, obviously that comes with a little bit of a cost, of course. But I think over long term, you can definitely kind of generate that money back in terms of the support and what the industry will start to bring. But yeah, it's definitely a think about continuing to have the women play at the stadiums. Even like Arsenal have just announced that I think pretty much Emirates is going to be their home ground for the next season, which is amazing. That's just another step to show, actually, do you know what? They're getting in the crowds. Everyone wants to go and watch them play. So why not have that as the home stadium as well, same as the men?
Absolutely sounds like a sensible idea to me, for sure. Speaking again about the men, how have you benefited from some of the structures that the men's team provides you? So, for example, having a Brentford B, having access to Jersey Road for strength training. But what sort of benefits are you seeing from that collaboration?
Yeah, it's the small gains. It's definitely it's the fact that we do have access to Jersey Road. So we were there yesterday. We go for our gym session, and we have B, who is amazing, who kind of plans all of our kind of gym programs. And it's those little differences, kind of with that explosive power, that's the smallest margin that gets someone there before someone else in a game. that's someone that, you know, manages to track back and stop that goal. It's those small margins which make a whole load of difference. And to someone, it's like, oh, it's just, yeah, it's an hour's gym session at Jersey Road. Yes, but with that facilities, that becomes much more. Again, having the setup that we have, obviously our first team and our B team, the whole, you know, aim is of the B team is to develop them into becoming first team players, so that we have that constant pathway, which is amazing, which is for a long term exactly what we need. So the support of the men's team in terms of having the facilities available, how many times we train. For example, we train Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 times. That's a lot more than potentially a lot of teams at our level as well. So it makes a huge difference.
Which is good, and that again supports you for your objectives in the future. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the longer term aims are for the women's team? Because we've spoken a lot about some of these things that you've got now in the short term. How are you planning to use those to help you moving into next season and the seasons beyond?
Yeah, so longer term, the aim is effectively to get up the ladder of women's football as quickly as possible and as sustainably as possible. In terms of as well making sure that we're still sticking to our kind of our pillars and our morals and stuff like that, of which the kind of club are fundamental in. So we're just making sure next year, obviously, we enjoy a little bit of a break, which I think a lot of us kind of need after quite a long season, because we started middle of August and we've pretty much had constant games, potentially 2 a week, until Sunday. So I think after that, it's purely we're starting on pre-season and get the squad ready. We will go for a promotion again, and then once we do achieve that, because I'm fully confident that we'll get it this year, then it's just planning, making sure we have the kind of fundamentals to then keep progressing steadily up those leagues until we get to the top. So it's a long journey, but we'll get there.
It is a long journey, and
Yeah.
it might seem a stupid question, but is the ultimate aim for you guys to make it to the WSL? Is that effectively what the be all and end all is, to make it there to the WSL and be one of the top 12 teams in the country?
Yeah, of course. Long term, I don't know if I'll quite be paying by then. I'm 26, you see, 26. I'm gonna write myself off, but yeah, that's the aim, and I think the involvement I've had with this club to see them at some point at that level, I feel like I've had kind of a tiny piece in their history, which would be cool.
Which is good. Just a slight aside from that, do you feel that with Brentford being a Premier League side as well, does that for you as the women's side offer a little bit more pressure perhaps at times? You know, is there a bit more expectation from the fans because you are Brentford, and therefore that is a well-known name amongst British football?
Yeah, of course, it definitely does, because we do come with that Premier League kind of tag, and if anything, more people want to beat us because we are Brentford, and they want to beat us even more. We have a big target on our backs, which is fine. We embrace it. We don't mind. But definitely with that kind of the men's team being in the Premier League, it definitely has that little bit of added pressure, because equally we want to do really well. Of course we do. But yeah, it's that little bit extra, and teams don't always like it.
Excellent. And I suppose one sort of last bit would be a little bit about the story of Brentford Women, because it does have a pretty special backstory. Amy Crook and Roger Crook, who are a father and a daughter, having set up the club, they're still involved as the general manager and the chairman. Do you think that family involvement extends to the culture of the club that you've got set out at Brentford?
Definitely. That I would say men's, in my opinion, men's team culture is very different to in football in terms is very different to the women's team culture in football. I think women's relationship in terms of the team is so important, and it can be make or break, I think, if you don't have that right dynamic. But from my experience at Brentford, I've always been that kind of person to say, I play football. Obviously, I want to win, but I've got to have it. I've got to enjoy it. That is just as important as winning. And I think what says a lot is that a lot of girls stay. A lot of girls stay and develop, or they might kind of try something else, and then potentially some of them come back, because you can't kind of replicate the culture that we have and the team bond that we have amongst the girls. I've been friends with these for years and years and years, and they would be classed as friends for life. So definitely that stems from the very start up until now, and hopefully that's kind of going to be that added extra that's going to get us that over the line and just move us straight up.
Absolutely. Well, Mollie, it's been an absolute honour and privilege to have you as our first guest on the Team Talk. It's been superb. We wish you all the best in your game against Whiteleaf. Let's hope, without wanting to sound biased in any way, shape, form, or fashion, that you're here and they're not. So good luck to Brentford. We'll be hoping that you
Thank
bring
you.
back the double, that you have a cracking summer, and that you do indeed get started on some of these brilliant objectives that you've got. And we're looking forward to seeing the rise of Brentford women as we move through. To everybody watching, thank you very much for joining us. This has been the Team Talk, and we are looking forward to seeing you next time. Take care.